What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Friday. Here on the main channel today, we're going to talk about a recent report about Chauncey Billups and his likelihood to return as Portland Trail Blazers head coach next year and potentially for many more seasons. We also have 15 games for picks against the spread. If you've never watched Blazers Uprise Live in season, we pick the day's games. So we got 15 freaking games today. We pick the day's games, and then we talk about the topic. So if you're watching back after the fact, you can see what we picked, or you can skip ahead to the part where we talk about Chauncey. But we got to jump straight into things. Maybe Eric will join us at some point. I have not heard from him. I have no idea what his schedule's looking like tonight, but we'll be live for a bit. We're going to talk about Chauncey. We're going to pick some games. We're going to have some fun. We got to jump into 3 games that are tipping off in the next couple of minutes. All right, we're going to start off with Detroit and Milwaukee. Detroit is a 4.5 point home favorite. Let me pull up the injury report brought to you by Brendan. Shout out to Brendan for helping us all season long with social media and with this injury report. Once we pick the 3 games, then we'll take a look at the standings and where we stand, because chat right now has a half-game lead. All right, out for the Bucks is Jericho Sims and Damian Lillard and Tyler Smith. Out for the Pistons is Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart. All right. So in case you're new to this, chat gets a chat poll to pick the game. We should hopefully have a few more votes today, and then we will pick the game ourselves. Alrighty. I'm going to go with the Detroit Pistons. Let me put chat on my other screen. What's up, Eric? How you doing, man? How you doing, Eric Olson? All right. We got Pistons for me. We got Milwaukee Bucks for Eric, Arrow, Connor, Trevin, Zach, Jackson, and Brendan. We got Pistons for Crushables. We got Bucks for Stephen Vaughn. And we got 503 going with the Bucks as well. Javon is going Bucks. Javon, we need to moderate you over here on the main channel. I almost didn't even see your pick. All right. There we go. Alrighty, in chat's poll, we have a 50-50. Next vote breaks the tie. And it's for the Milwaukee Bucks. Even without Dame, we got Bucks for chat. We're going heavy on the Bucks. This is an 11v2 against me and Crushables. All right, game number 2, we have the Indiana Pacers hosting the Orlando Magic. The spread for this line, the Pacers are 3-point. I didn't update it on the graphic. The Pacers are 3-point home favorites. Injuries for this game. Out for the Magic, Mo Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., Contavious Caldwell Pope, and Paulo Banchero. Out for the Pacers, Isaiah Jackson, Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, and Ben Shepherd. So, massive injury report in this one. Whose bench is better? I'm going to take the Pacers still. It's Pacers as 3-point favorites. Making 15 graphics was not fun. Not fun. I'm just glad we started basically in time. We got, let's see here. I hate how in my streaming software the poll blocks the chat. We got Pacers for Eric, Arrow, Zach, Crushables, Brendan. And we got Magic for Connor, Trevin, and Jackson. We have Indiana for 503. And we have Magic for Stephen Vaughn. By the way, Steven and I plan on live streaming next Wednesday right here on the main channel. We're going to do some streams this offseason. I'm looking forward to it. And we got Pacers for Javon. We got Pacers for chat, whopping 87% of the vote. Alrighty, that makes this a 9v4 in favor of the Indiana Pacers. And then the third and final 4:10 tip-off time, we got the Sixers hosting the Hawks. The Hawks 12.5-point road favorites. Injuries for this game. Out for the Hawks, Jacob Toppin, Larry Nance Jr., Jalen Johnson, Kobe Buffkin, and Clint Capella. Out for the Sixers, Gershon Yabusele, Kelly Oubre, Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, Alex Reese, Quentin Grimes, and Justin Edwards. 12 players out for the Sixers, including Rip City remix legend Alex Reese. I mean, I don't even know who the Sixers have, and the Hawks have Trae Young. That is as deep as my logic goes here. Who do the Sixers even have left, man? I don't know. So I'm going Hawks. We got Hawks for Eric, Arrow, Trevin, Zach, Jackson, and Brendan, as well as Javon. And we got Sixers for Connor. Crushables also went Hawks. This might be a Connor island, man. Connor might be on an island with a team that he has no idea who's playing for them. All right. I'm dropping, by the way, Arrow, I'm dropping their picks in the chat right now. I have not had time. There you go. Alrighty. So, for Steven, we have Sixers, and for 503, we have Hawks. So, no island for Connor. Steven is rolling with them. Everybody else is rolling Hawks. Chat, 74% of the vote. All right, making this an 11v2 in favor of the Hawks. All right, we got done with the 4:10 p.m. tip-off times. Let's take a look at the standings. I need to update this. I actually have the graphic made for once. I got the graphic made for once. If you're just tuning in, we'll talk about Chauncey after picks against the spread. Didn't have time to put in the advanced stats, but these are the numbers that really, really matter here. You got Chat with a half-game lead on Javon. We got 15 games today. We're picking 15 games Sunday morning, so make sure you tune in for that. Chat, as you guys try to win this thing. The winner gets $200. Chat, either $200 in giveaways or Javon gets $200. All right? Now, maybe paid out, $40 a month or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But, yeah, winner gets $200. And by the way, chat, if you have a giveaway item that you won earlier in the year that you have not received or reached out yet, I'll be figuring out that this weekend, so I'll be in touch. But yeah, Javon, half a game behind chat. Trevin, 3.5 games. Crushables and Zach, 5 games. So you really have 5 people, maybe 6 if Eric can have a really good day. He's 7.5 back. You got multiple people with a chance to win this thing, which is always fun because chat went a dismal 2-5 last Tuesday, which was the worst record of the day. I also went 2-5. I doubled down on Phoenix against everybody who went Golden State, and that backfired. I'm kind of tanking right now, just like the Blazers. I'm very inspired. It's been a brutal year for me down here in 10th place, but you do have multiple people with a chance to win this thing, which should make the last day really fun. I'm hoping Chat and Javon struggle, and Trevin, Crushables, Zach can have good days and make this a 5-person race entering the final day of the regular season. We did go 54-37 on Tuesday. We are 89 games below 500. If we can have 2 good 15-game days, we might be able to get to 500. It's going to be tough, though. Our double-down records, 275 and 258. Those are the numbers. All right. I'm going to have to plug in these graphics as I go. Game number 4 is between the Charlotte Hornets and the Boston Celtics. Just wait till you see this spread line. The Celtics are 20.5-point home favorites. This is our biggest spread line of the year, but it's not the biggest spread line of the day. Out for the Hornets is Grant Williams, Brandon Miller, Trey Mann, Josh Green, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, and Musa Diabate. Out for the Celtics is Jaylen Brown. A wild spread line. And frankly, I'm really interested to see what we do here. To see what we do. You got T-John Salon and Yusuf Nurkic versus the Celtics. I'm just going to take the points. I'm just going to take the Hornets. Alrighty, we got Javon going with the Celtics. Alright, we got Celtics for Eric, Arrow, Connor, Trevin 503, and Brendan. We got Hornets for Zach, Jackson, Crushables. As well as Steven. Chat is... Let's see here. Chat is going with the Celtics. 53% of the vote, a very close vote there, but chat is rolling with the Celtics, even though they're 20.5-point favorites. It's an 8v5 in favor of the Boston Celtics. And then in the next game, we have the New York Knicks hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is going to be a good game. Records, of course, aren't updated up there, but we do got the Knicks as the favorites. The Knicks 2.5-point home favorites. Injuries for this game, out for the Cavs is Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, DeAndre Hunter, and Donovan Mitchell. Out for the Knicks is Ariel Hukporti and Karl Anthony Towns. Chat, there is your poll. I'm going to go Knicks. So is Eric, Arrow, Trevin. I feel like Eric and Arrow's picks are the same. We got Crushables, 503, and Steven. Cavs for Connor, Zach, Jackson, Brendan. Javon is going with the Knicks. Did I just wake up? No. I don't wake up at 4 p.m. Gray. We got Knicks for Javon. And for chat, we got Knicks, 53% of the vote. Very close chat votes here. But we do got a 9v4 in favor of the Knicks over the Cavs. Game number 6. We have the Chicago Bulls hosting the Washington Wizards. And the Bulls, there I go messing up the spread line in the graphic again. Let me just pull up the spread so I can make sure to read it off correctly. All right, the Bulls are 15.5 point home favorites. 15.5 points for the Bulls. I'm going to update this graphic. Out for the Wizards, we got Jordan Poole, Chris Middleton, Corey Kispert, Anthony Gill, Bilal Coulibaly, Malcolm Brogdon, Sadiq Bey, and Rashawn Holmes. Out for the Bulls, Trey Jones, Ayo Dosunmu, Lonzo Ball, Dalen Terry, and questionable is Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey. All right, we're going based off the spread line in the poll. Wizards, Bulls, chat, there's your poll. Alrighty. You got Sar for the Wizards. You actually got Marcus Smart too. Bub Carrington. I'm going to take the Wizards. Your eyes look puffy? Yeah, I don't know why my eyes look puffy today. I actually noticed that before the stream looking in the camera. I don't know what's going on with my eyes today. Maybe I did too many drugs. I'm kidding. I don't do drugs. I don't even smoke weed. All right, we got Bulls for Connor, Trev, and Zach. Crushables, Brendan, and Steven. We got Wizards for Eric, Arrow, Jackson, 503. Crying due to Chauncey news? Yeah, that's what it was, actually. Arrow knows what's up. And we got Bulls for chat. By the way, the spread line. The Bulls have to win by 16 to be the correct pick. By 15.5 or more to be the correct pick. Otherwise, Washington's the correct pick. So if the Bulls win by 14, Washington's the correct pick, in case any of you don't know how spread lines work. And we got Javon going with the Wizards, which makes this a split vote, 7v6 in favor of the Chicago Bulls. In game number 7, we have the New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Miami Heat. And Miami is a 15.5 point, second straight 15.5 point spread. Miami's a 15.5 point road favorite. Out for the Heat, Drew Smith, Kevin Love, Pele Larson, Nikola Jovic, and Isaiah Stevens. Out for the Pelicans, Zion Williamson, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Brandon Boston, Bruce Brown, Jordan Hawkins, Kelly Olynyk, Yves Missy, and Carlo Matkovic, who's actually been playing pretty well for them. A recent 52nd overall pick, just like Quentin Post, just like Tamani Kamara. The Blazers should get the 52nd pick in this upcoming draft because we have a good stretch here. Of course, they traded for Kamara, and then they traded away the 52nd pick that became Quentin Post, who's had a good year for the Warriors. All right, chat, your poll is live in the chat. We got Pelicans. We got Heat. And we will talk about the Chauncey stuff here in about 10 to 15 minutes once we're done with picks against the spread. We got Heat for Trevin, Zach, Jackson Crushables, Steven. We got Pelicans for Eric, Arrow, Connor. 503. And Brendan. Javon is rolling with the Heat. We got chat 50-50 right now. I gotta go with the Heat. The Pelicans are way too banged up. I'm hearing the Blazers have interest in Adelman. I mean, we'll talk about the Chauncey news. We'll talk about the report. All right, chat, we finally got that tie broken. Chat is rolling with the Miami Heat, which makes this an 8v5 in favor of the Heat. All right, game number 8. $15 games is a lot, man. 15 games is a lot. Game number 8, we have the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Toronto Raptors. Dallas is an 11.5 point home favorite. Injuries for this game. Out for the Raptors are Jacoby Walter, Jakob Poeltl, Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, Ulrich Chauncey, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Jared Rhoden. Out for the Mavs is Olivia Maxence Prosper, Kyrie Irving, and Spencer Dinwiddie. A pretty light injury report for the Mavs. Dante Exum was supposed to be out for the year, and now he's just back. Don't really understand what happened there. But I guess I don't know. Is it good to see the Mavs healthy? Does that front office ownership group deserve a team that's healthy? I don't know. You know, we wish for player health, man. We wish for player health. We wish for players to be healthy. We do not wish for good fortune for that ownership group and front office after gift wrapping Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Still can't believe that happened. All right. Eric, Connor, Jackson. Five with 3, Brendan and Steven. Our Mavs. By the way, I'm on the post-game show tonight. I'll tell you my equivalent of a Luka type of trade for the Blazers this offseason. That might be more realistic than the Luka trade would have seemed before. Before it actually happened. Because once something's real, it's 100% realistic, right? We got Raptors for Arrow, Trevin, Zach and Crushables. Javon went with the Mavs. You know what? Give me the Raptors. And chat is going Mavs, 61% of the vote. Chat is loving themselves a favorite today. This is an 8v5 in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. All right, game number 9. Let's get rid of Skype. We have no Eric Brandt. All right. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the Brooklyn Nets. The Timberwolves, 21.5 point home favorites. I told you the 20.5 point Boston spread was not the biggest spread of the day, because this one is 21.5 points. Biggest spread of the season. It's always hilarious to see these spread lines at the end of the year. Out for the Nets, Cam Thomas, Daron Sharp, D'Angelo Russell, D'Anthony Melton, Cam Johnson, Noah Clowney, Zaire Williams, and Nicholas Claxton. Out for the Timberwolves, nobody. Absolutely nobody on their injury report. So chat, there's your poll. 21.5 points is insane. Absolutely insane. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. Why not? Why not? We'll take a 21.5 point spread. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we'll talk about Chauncey after picks against spread. We're on game 9 of 15. 15 games that we're picking today. And then we'll talk about the Chauncey report. And then, of course, we'll have the post-game show for you guys later tonight. We have Timberwolves for Connor and Jackson. Let's go. We're Timberwolves by 40. Nets for Eric Arrow. Trevin Zach Crushables. .503 Brendan and Steven. Javon says, actually, I'll go Wolves. And chat is going with the Nets. Shout out to those of you who are bold with taking the 21.5 point spread. Even chat didn't do it. We got a 9v4 in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. In game number 10, we have... It's going to be Memphis and Denver, which is going to be a really, really good game today. Both teams fighting for playoff positioning. Denver is a 6.5 point home favorite. Of course, this is also a game between two teams that just fired their coach, even though they were locked into the top 8 in the West, which is insane. You know, Chauncey wins 35 games, and it's time for him to have 7 years here. Anyway. Oh, injuries for this game. Injuries for this game. I got a little sidetracked. All right. Injuries for this game. Out for the Grizzlies, Jalen Wells, who just broke his wrist. Unfortunately, you hate to see that. As well as Zion Poland and Brandon Clark. Those guys also out. Out for the Nuggets, Deron Holmes. He's the only player on their injury report, so the Nuggets are healthy. Jamal Murray returns today. All right, chat. Here is your poll. I need to get a quieter keyboard. All right. Aeromancer forgot how to type team names, but we'll roll with it. We got Nuggets for Eric Crushables. Myself. 503 and Steven. We got Grizzlies for Arrow. Connor, Trev, and Zach. Jackson. And Brendan. Javon rolling with what? I can't with the typos. All right. We got Nuggets for chat, 71% of the vote. Making this a split vote, 7v6 in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. All righty. Game 11 of 15. Rolling through this at a good pace. I'm happy with it. Although, I only have a two-person setup here. All right. Game number 11, we got the Utah Jazz hosting the OKC Thunder. The Thunder, 9.5 point road favorites. Out for the Thunder. Kasem Wallace, Nikola Topic, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Ousmane Dieng, Alex Caruso, and Jalen Williams, the All-Star version. Out for the Jazz. Cody Williams, KJ Martin, Larry Markkinen, Walker Kessler, Taylor Hendricks, Elijah Harkless, John Collins, and Jordan Clarkson. Questionable is Isaiah Collier. All right, we got the Jazz for Eric and Connor. and myself. And then we got the OKC Thunder for Arrow, Trevin, Zach, Jackson. Crushables 503, Brandon and Steven. Javon's also going Thunder, and chat is going Thunder, 67% of the vote, making this a 10v3 in favor of the OKC Thunder. Game number 12, we have the Phoenix Suns hosting the San Antonio Spurs. This game matters a lot for your Portland Trail Blazers in terms of lottery odds. Either they can be alone in 9th after today, but have no chance at 8, or they could be tied for 9th with Phoenix, but have a chance at 8 if San Antonio loses, or if San Antonio wins their final game at the end of the regular season. Of course, that is just based on if the Blazers lose to the Warriors tonight. We'll get to that game in a second. All right, injuries for this game. Out for the Spurs, we have De'Aaron Fox, Riley Minix, Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, and Devin Vassell. Out for the Suns, Nick Richards and Kevin Durant. The Suns don't really have anything to tank for. It's funny, you can see all my missed calls to Eric on Skype. All right, let's just get rid of that. The Suns have literally nothing to play for good and bad. And that means it's really bad, because they can't tank. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're not going to be in the lottery. Not going to be in the play-in. Brutal season from the Suns. I thought they were going to be much better this year. I mean, they're probably the better team on paper, but I'll just take the Spurs. We got Suns for Jackson with an LOL attached from Arrow, and we got Spurs for Eric, Zach, Trevin, Connor, Arrow, Crushables. I mean, basically, literally everybody. We got Javon going Spurs as well. So it looks like, well, it was looking like it was going to be a Jackson Island, but chat is going with the Phoenix Suns. If Jackson just went Spurs, this could have been a chat island, which is like impossible because chat is basically the culmination of groupthink. But yeah, no island for chat. It's chat and Jackson. Chat and Jackson. All right. Game number 13, we have the Sacramento Kings hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, 6.5-point road favorites. Injuries for this game. Out for the Clippers, Patty Mills, Seth Lundy, Amir Coffey, and Nick Batum. Questionable are Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac. Out for the Kings, Malik Monk and Jake LaRavia. Alrighty. Excuse me. Why did I just put the Warriors logo back in? I'm tripping. We got 2 games after this. And then we get to talk about everybody's favorite head coach. We got Kings for Eric, Connor, Zach. I'll also go Kings. We got Clippers for Arrow, Trevin, Jackson, Crushables. 503, Brandon and Steven. And then we got Javon going with the Kings. And we got chat going Clippers, 58% of the vote. I love how even the chat percentages are. This is not an 8v5. No, a 9v4. No, an 8v5. I can't count anymore. I'm tripping. An 8v5 in favor of the Los Angeles Clippers. All right, game number 14. This game is your Portland Trail Blazers hosting the Golden State Warriors. And Portland is underdogs. Golden State's a 14.5-point road favorite. They only have 2 players on their injury report. Both players are questionable. Those players are Quentin Post and GP 2 weeks. And then out for the Blazers, Robert Williams III, Anthony Simons, Bryce McGowens, Scoot Henderson, Jeremy Grant, and DeAndre Ayton. Doubtful is Denny Avdia, and questionable is Shaedon Sharpe. The Blazers are going to get killed tonight, right? Right. All right, we got Blazers for Jackson, Crushable Steven. I'm going to go Warriors. So is Eric Arrow Connor. Trevin Zach, 503. And Brendan. And Javon. And chat with 55% of the vote, making this a 10v3 in favor of the Golden State Warriors. And then the final game of the day, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. They're hosting the Houston Rockets. The Lakers are 12.5-point home favorites. Injuries for this game: out for the Rockets, Jayshawn Tate, Tari Eason, Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Şengün. I had a Laker fan recently telling me that, the Rockets were resting their last game so they could play everybody against the Lakers because everybody plays everyone against the Lakers. Well, no, the Rockets have multiple players out. The Lakers only have one player out, Maxi Kleber. Light injury report for them. It would be a good thing for the Blazers if the Lakers lost, because then they would be playing for something, their final game of the regular season. The Blazers are really going to have to tank that game. Yeah, it's not looking good. I'll take Houston. We got Houston for Arrow, Zach, 503, Steven. And then we got Lakers for Eric, Connor, Trevin, Jackson, Crushables, and Brendan. Javon is going with the Lakers as well. And chat is going with the Rockets, 56% of the vote, making this a split vote, a 7v6 in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, time for double downs. I'm gonna... Dude, I don't know. There's so many games to pick from. I mean... I don't even want to double down on any of these. These spread lines, man. They're insane. You know what? I'll double down on the Warriors against the Blazers. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. All right, we got Eric going Warriors as well. Crushables going with the Pacers. If you're new to this, it counts as 2 wins or 2 losses instead of just 1. So these are the picks we're most confident in. I'm not really confident in any of my picks. I have not been confident all year, and it shows in my record. All right, we got Trevin Clippers. We got Brendan and Arrow going with the OKC Thunder. We got Steven and Connor going with the Spurs. Be bold, seize the day. I agree. It pays to be bold. That's somebody's slogan. I don't remember who. Some brand has a slogan like that. We got Zach going with the Cavs. He made this pick before the stream, so I know that game has already started. We got Jackson going with the Portland Trail Blazers. We got 503 going with the Pacers. Chat was 86% Pacers, by the way. Thank you. Javon doubling down on the Warriors with me and Eric riding our coattails. And we got Pacers for chat. So we got, with 15 games, we got 3 double downs on the Pacers, 503 crushables in chat. We got 3 double downs on the Warriors against the Blazers. Myself, Eric, and Javon. Jackson's going against us. He's doubling down with the Blazers. We got 2 on the Spurs, Steven and Connor. 2 on the Thunder, Arrow and Brendan. And then Zach's by himself with the Cavs. Trevin's by himself with the Clippers. That concludes picks against the spread. Once again, here are the standings as we enter the day. We'll be having our final episode of Picks Against the Spread on Sunday morning, as there's another 15 games. We'll see if Javon can surpass chat, or maybe it's somebody else. There's still enough games for other people to make a move. Alrighty. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to text Eric. I'm going to text Eric and see if, there's any chance he's here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. If that's the case, I'll put off the Chauncey talk until then. Okay, so. But if not, we'll dive right in. Because, of course, I'd love to get Eric's thoughts on this. Eric said he was leaning 60-40 towards Chauncey being back. I said 50-50. And you know what? I'll just set the stage. Before I react, before I give my thoughts. I'll just lay out the facts of the report, okay? The report was from Dwight Jaynes. So put as much stock into it as you want to. I know some people like Dwight Jaynes. I know some people do not. So I'm not here to say anything about who's reporting it. I'm just going to share you the report, and then I'm going to share my thoughts, assuming that the report is true. And you, the chat, of course, should also share your thoughts. All right. Do we have a link to the report, by the way? It's something I forgot to do before this. Let's see. I can find it. All right. So this is on Substack. The title is from Dwight Jaynes, and it's behind a paywall. Okay, so I guess we'll just read the title. Unless somebody can share with me, or you guys can go pay for it. I'm advertising it for him. But if somebody wants to share me any details in it, feel free. The title of this Substack post from Dwight Jaynes reads, Chauncey Billups likely to return as Blazers head coach and for many more seasons. The subtitle reads as such: player development, improved record, and defense makes him a hot commodity. The first line of the article that I can read reads as such. I don't even want to actually read anything from behind the paywall. That feels doesn't feel right. All right, if you want to read the whole article, you can go pay for it. It's behind a paywall for a reason. The first line that is visible of this article says Chauncey Billups is likely to return as the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers next season, and with a new contract carrying him through multiple years, according to multiple sources this week. Of course, likely doesn't mean for sure, but it's interesting. It's interesting. No text from Eric. I guess I'll dive into it, man. You know what? Let me set up a chat poll. Let me set up a chat poll first. Would you keep or fire Chauncey Billups? Okay. Keep him. There's going to be 3 options for this poll. Keep him for next year. I want to know what you guys think. Keep him for next year. Give him a long-term extension. Or let him go. Okay, what would you do with Chauncey Billups? I really want to see the results of this poll. Is this real or a source for a comedy routine? LOL. I'm not sure what you mean. In 19 votes, we have 89% saying let him go. We have, the percentages are changing. 20. Let's just say it's 80-20 between let him go or keep him for next year. We have 0 votes out of 25 that say give him a long-term extension. Okay? Nobody has voted to give him a long-term extension so far in this poll. And most people are saying let him go. Shelvin says, I read it. It's pretty much talking about how Chauncey Billups' first contract was very underpaid and you will get a big raise and the Blazers won't pick up his option and block him from finding a new spot. So they will pay up. So basically, assuming this is true, Chauncey Billups has the Blazers job in his back pocket, and if he can find a job that he wants more, like maybe the Memphis Grizzlies or potentially the Phoenix Suns if they fire Mike Budenholzer, or the Denver Nuggets, then he can go there if he wants. Otherwise, he has a long-term extension in his back pocket with a massive pay raise from the Blazers. 36 votes. We finally got a vote. 2 votes for give him a long-term extension out of the 37. 84% say let him go. Okay. If this is indeed true, I'm just blown away. I am blown away. I am baffled by this. This sounds completely insane to me that this guy could have the Blazers willing to pay up with an extension in his back pocket and could potentially get an even better job this offseason. When it's what has he done to deserve this? How has he earned potentially a 6, 7 year, maybe even 8 year tenure with the Portland Trail Blazers? Literally the best way you can support Chauncey or praise Chauncey Billups is if you, one, give him a bunch of excuses like his situation was tough and his roster was tough and he didn't have the greatest players and, he was just not in a good situation. Okay, which I'm not here to argue that was not true, but when you talk about a coach who's been somewhere for 4 years and you have to start off every conversation with that, you probably should not be giving them a long-term extension if that's the start of the conversation in regards to your head coach, okay? And then the praise for him as a coach, have you noticed that the praise for him as a coach is never about stuff that he does in an actual game? It's never about his in-game coaching. None of the praise is ever about anything he does during the course of an actual freaking basketball game. All the praise for Chauncey Billups is stuff like, oh, well, he's respected. And player development. As if young players aren't supposed to get better. He's respected in player development. And, he motivates guys. And players play hard for him. I mean, just go to the... And then it's like, oh, they won a few more games than they probably should have this year. None of his support is ever about anything he actually does as a coach during an actual basketball game. I mean, even go to the subtitle of Dwight Jane's article. It says, player development, improved record, and defense makes him a hot commodity. Cool, he had an average defense this year. Can anybody say what he did defensively to help the Blazers become an average defense beyond just he motivated guys and got them to try? If those are your reasons for keeping a coach for 6, 7, 8 years, that's just blasphemous to me. That's just blasphemous. How you justify an extension off that is insane to me. Here's the problem with Chauncey, man. I think it's very, very clear. Here's the problem with Chauncey Billups as a head coach, which will rear its ugly head if the Blazers are ever in a playoff series with him as head coach. And I'm fully convinced of this, okay? And we've talked about this a lot. Schematically, offensively, his offense has been a joke. It's been a joke. His half-court offense is an absolute joke. Okay? He does not run anything creative offensively. He doesn't know how to utilize players off the ball in any sort of half-court structure. Now, he did cut down on his triple handoff sets that he spammed at the start of the year. We finally looked like a little bit more of a basketball team instead of a 1950s football team because we weren't just handing it off constantly like we were at the start of the year. But I mean, how many times do we sit here begging for a Shaedon Sharpe curl at any point during any game? Right? But that's the thing, is like none of the support for Chauncey is ever like, oh yeah, he does this schematically, or he makes this adjustment, or in this situation, he made a really good situational decision. The biggest problems with Chauncey has been schematics, anything X's and O's, his substitution patterns. Doesn't seem to know which guy to play that'll give him the best chance to win. I mean, he was bringing Denny Avdija off the bench for freaking Jeremy Grant earlier this season. Okay? As well as in-game adjustments and situational coaching. How many times do we see him get out-coached late in a close game by a better coach? There has been multiple post-game shows this season where we've had to criticize Chauncey for something late in a game that made absolutely no sense that he had some semblance of control over. Now, obviously, I don't remember all these situations off the top of my head. I just remember there has been many, many times over the past 4 seasons where there's just baffling things late in a close game from Chauncey Billups. And yeah, you could say, oh, maybe he's improved. I mean, that's still been a problem this year. Those things, I guess, don't matter as much to a rebuilding team when you're trying to set a culture and you're trying to develop players. But they sure as hell do matter when you start trying to win actual basketball games. They absolutely do matter. And nobody, man, nobody that supports him ever gives me anything that happens on a basketball court with their support for him. I mean, people will say, like, people will act like anyone who wants Chauncey gone is an idiot, okay? And what I've started asking people is like, okay, give me one good schematical reason why he should stay. What does he do with his offense? What does he do with his defense that makes you think he should stay? And I legitimately never get an answer. And it's just like, how is the way you design your offense, how's the way you scheme your offense and defense just like not even a factor for a coach, for anyone? I legitimately do not understand that at all. It's insane to me, okay? And now it's like the Blazers won 35 games. They won 35 games, guys. After 4 years, the Blazers finally reached the 35-win threshold under Chauncey Billups. Let's extend them. Dude, you see coaches of playoff teams get fired for a lot less. A lot less. But this goes to my bigger overall point. This ownership group freaking sucks. This ownership group is not serious about contending. They're not serious about actually winning playoff games, and they probably have no clue what goes into actually being able to do that. When they got into power after Paul Allen's passing, they had Dame and already had a roster built for them, and Dame carried them to the Western Conference Finals. Since then, it has been downhill. But this year, they won 35 games. And now that's being freaking celebrated. Okay, yes, it's a step in the right direction. But my goodness, is it nowhere close to the end goal? And if you're getting too caught up in winning 35 games, how do you think this organization feels about potentially winning 45 games? Oh my goodness, that'd be so amazing. I mean, just look at this. They're extending Cronin because they won 35 games. They are going to give Chauncey a pay raise because he won 35 games and want to give him an extension, but will let him walk to another team. Somehow he has other suitors. All because they won 35 games. So if they're this excited about winning 35 games, what do you think they're going to feel about potentially winning 45 games and getting a 7th seed? They're probably going to be too excited for that. Where that matters too much to them. You want to take steps in the right direction. But my goodness, are they seemingly overreacting to a 35-win season? Long term, you want to contend. Okay? If you're making decisions where you're extending a guy like Chauncey Billups, who I don't think is a playoff caliber coach. I think his flaws as a coach would get exposed in a playoff series. But you're extending him because you won 35 games. That says to me, like, all right, you don't care about actually winning playoff series. You just want to get there. And you're just comfortable with the status quo. You're comfortable kicking the can down the road. You literally don't want to make any changes. That's why you still have Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant on this roster. That's why when Olshey got fired, you didn't even interview anybody outside of the organization. You just brought on a GM with no experience and didn't even put him against other candidates. You just rolled with the next guy that was already in your organization. And then you just extend him before a monumental offseason that was going to prove his mettle or not. And then you just want to extend Chauncey too. Like, this organization is too comfortable with the status quo. And that's extremely frustrating to me. I want this team to contend. I want this team to actually care about contending. It just does not feel like this ownership group cares about contending. I mean, how often did we hear, man, we're going to be really aggressive, building around Damian Lillard. We're going to go all in. It's going to be we're going to be super, super duper aggressive, super duper win now mode. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but like, we're going to be so aggressive in building a contender around him. And they never even took any steps. This front office and ownership group, they didn't take any steps to try and do so. They took 0 steps to try and do so. I mean, there's been nothing in the past 4 years that shows me that this ownership group wants to contend. Every little signal from this ownership group, this is my interpretation, every little sign and signal from this ownership group and this organization is they just want to get back to being an average team that can maybe play a couple playing games, maybe, make a first round series, and that's good enough for them. If you feel differently, please share with me why you feel differently, because I would love to have faith that this ownership group wants to build a contender. I would love to have that faith. I would love to have that opinion. I would love for there to just be something that I could latch onto, like, oh, wait, maybe this ownership group does want to get this team there. But I mean, what is there? What is there? I cannot think of anything, any reason why anyone should think that this ownership group wants to build a contender. They just want to be good enough to put butts in seats and eyes on a TV, and that's what matters. They're not competitive. They don't care about building a contender. That's why they give massive extensions because of a 35-win season. So yeah, I'm kind of pissed about this report. I'm more pissed off about this than I was about the Cronin extension, because like Cronin is just an extension, I think, of the ownership group at times. And whoever you brought in there, I think the ownership group has too much control or decides to take too much control. And I'm specifically talking about Bert freaking Cold. He's a problem. If you replace Cronin with somebody else, is that going to change? No. It's not. All right, I'll read chat. I'll read questions. Is there anybody in chat that like really disagrees with me on Chauncey in this ownership group? The Pacers are really down 72-49. They let Trevelyan Queen go 6 for 6 and have 16 points in 11 minutes. And Trevelyan Queen is a plus 30. Now, their Pacers are missing a bunch of guys, but they're playing Ray J. Dennis off the bench. All right, let's see chat comments. Gray, of course, says, I actually excited to see them continue to improve. All right. I mean, yeah, improving is good, but it's all about what is the end goal. And it's all about what is the end destination. Improving to become the 6th best team in the West is not good enough. It's not good enough. Your sights should be set on building a team that can win it all. Right? Like, can we agree on that? Does anybody disagree with the goal for this organization should be to try and build a team that can legitimately contend and has a chance to win it all? Does anybody disagree with that? Side note, do you think Denny can lead a contender? No. Raytech says, I don't disagree. I just think it's somewhat of a lost cause. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I kind of agree, but it's like I'm going to keep holding this organization accountable. If that's not going to be their end goal, I'm still going to hold their feet over the fire for that. I am too competitive of a person, too competitive of a sports fan to just accept that from my team. Too competitive for that. I disagree. I think Denny can lead a contender. Brother, like, a lot of people acted like Damian Lillard averaging 32 and 8 couldn't lead a contender. But we got Denny averaging half that, basically. And he can? I mean, Denny's great, man, but there's only a few players that can lead a contender, and my goodness, people are getting a little ahead of themselves with Denny. Tori, you think the Blazers keep the pick or trade it? I think they probably keep it. Scoot looks awful too. Man, if Scoot improves just as much as he did this year going into next year, he's going to be a really good player. Gray says, yeah, I am looking for a team orientation, not a ball pounder, ISO player. Here's the thing. You got to have guys that can score in isolation. You got to have guys that can lead your offense, man. You're not going to win a championship just by sharing the ball and being unselfish. You need somebody where they can go create shots, go get you a bucket. If nothing's going for your offense, you can put the ball in their hands. They're going to go make something happen. You absolutely need a guy like that in order to win a championship. In today's NBA especially. You absolutely have to have a guy like that. That can do that at an extremely high level. Like, if you don't want this team to contend just because you'd rather see them, like, be unselfish and play like a team, okay, fine. We just have different priorities. Then he is either a second or third option on a championship team. I think you can, if he's, I don't know, like, just for me, see what he does next year. Like, I think people are coming to conclusions that he can or cannot be certain things too soon. I think he took a nice step the second half of this year. He also kind of took a nice step the second half of last year and the struggle to start this year. I do think it was because he was on a new team. So it's like next year is the season for Denny to either take that step towards stardom or not. But it's the same thing where like Sharp has a 30-point game and like, oh, he's already a star. And then he struggles the next 5 games and it's like, oh, wait, maybe not. You know what I mean? Like we got to stop being such a prisoner of the moment. Gray, nobody ever said we don't have any talent. I love the Denny trade because I think Denny is very talented. Of course this team's going to be better this year with Denny and with the young players playing well. I just thought this team would start tanking sooner. I predicted 26 to 27 wins. They won 35. The thing is, if they won a couple less earlier, they probably would have started tanking a lot sooner and they'd be at like 29-30. Also, they had their most healthy season in a while, at least in regards to players that matter. Also, they played a lot of teams missing their best player or missing multiple starters. Like, they had a lot of great opportunities against teams missing very important pieces. Also, how much of it was an 11-game stretch compared to the other 71 games? The Blazers are good enough to beat bad teams, but they're bad enough to not be able to consistently compete against good teams. They are kind of right now they're at the bottom of mediocrity. They will progress, they will take steps forward. But will it be just to the top of mediocrity or will it be beyond that? I mean, I just don't think this ownership has the goal of contending. And that should frustrate every fan that wants this team to contend. Wyatt, your takes are really bad, man. I'm just going to say that. Then who is the best option for coaching? I mean, I'd take Adelman. I'd take Malone. I'd take Jenkins. I'd take Chris Quinn. I'd take... There's probably guys I haven't heard of that might be better. Just like Mark Diagonal was a really good hire, even though nobody had really heard of him. Right? It should be on the Blazers to actually want to go find a better coach and not just settle. That's what this organization does. They just settle. They just freaking settle. One thing we can agree on, Gray, Klingon is a huge part of our team when we play our best version. He says he is only going to get better. I would have work on strength with emphasis on legs. Absolutely. The Blazers are a top 5 defense with Tamani and Klingon on the floor. You're telling me Klingon is mobile? How's saying he isn't mobile a bad take? You're saying he's less mobile than Gobert, which I don't think is true, number one. Number two, like... You're using it to knock him, man. He's 7'2". Of course he's not going to be as quick as LeBron. Like, prime LeBron. He's 7'2". Of course he's going to be slower. Like, Wemby's an alien. He is the outlier, okay? Like, most 7'2" guys are going to be slower. So I don't know why people just want to use it to just knock on him, because it's like, even though he's slower, he still defends the perimeter as good, if not better, than DeAndre Ayton. Greg Hughes says, had the Blazers played this way all season, then they would easily make the playoffs. Yeah, sure. If they had their, that 11-game stretch where they won 10 games, if they just did that for 82 games, man, they would have been challenging for the 1 seed. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Like, of course, if they played better all season, they would have been better. I don't really understand that. They have good stretches and they have bad stretches because they are mediocre. Like, mediocre is better than bad, but it's like, I could sit here and say, man, if you got rid of that 11-game stretch, they would have had much better lottery odds. We can't just cherry pick samples. Like, they're 35 wins. What's the context that goes into that win number? I mean, that we can discuss, but there's a reason why they didn't play better the rest of the year. Chauncey, looked like he had lost this team early in the season. And now it's like, oh, man, they won 35 games. Let's give them an extension. Why bring up LeBron? WTF, Clean can't guard the perimeter at all. That second statement is just blasphemously untrue. And bringing up LeBron, the point is, dude, he's 7'2". He's going to be slower than perimeter players. It's not something to hold against him. Okay? I mean, I feel like here's the problem. Everybody bases a center being able to guard the perimeter based on how fast their feet look. And that's it. Does the big man look fast or not? That means That determines if he can defend the perimeter or not. Klingon's big enough he can give guys a gap and still block threes. We've seen him block multiple threes and have some really good contests on threes. But he can be far enough away that if a guy starts to drive, he can move well enough to stick with the drive. And it's not fast, but he's so freaking big. He's so freaking long. He can guard the perimeter. Has some bad moments. But for a legitimate 7-footer and a rookie, I think he was okay defending the perimeter. He had some good moments. He had some bad moments. Here's the thing. When you have a 7'2" drop big man rim protector, you shouldn't be switching them out onto point guards all the freaking time. You shouldn't be switching. You should be going over every screen. You should be closing out hard on 3-point shots, funneling everybody downhill towards your 7'2" big. But it's like, why do we care so much about how he defends the perimeter when with Kamara and him in the lineup, this team was like a top 5 defense? And he had a huge impact on this defense. Why are we so worried about his perimeter defense when he was a really good defender as a rookie? It's like just choosing negativity just to choose negativity. That's why I get annoyed by a lot of the Klingon criticism. Hello, Eric. Listening on my way home. I'll end the stream probably before you're home, because we got the post game tonight. We can talk about everything tonight, man. But Wyatt, provide the source for your stat number 1. Number 2, okay, what are opponents shooting at the rim against him? His skill set is not to defend the freaking perimeter. I don't understand why people focus so much on that. You can't miss the playoffs and win the championship the next season? I don't even necessarily believe that. Who's to say a team couldn't? Denny is more of a team player than Dame. Anyone disagree with that? I don't understand why people think Dame isn't a team player, man. He had 8 assists a game. When Ant would get going, like Dame would feed him, set him up, get out of his way. Basically, it's like, oh, if you're aggressive scoring the ball and can really score the ball, you're not a team player. That's the logic. Dame literally set up his teammates more than Denny does. So I just don't really understand what you're basing a team player off of. Like, yeah, what Trevor says. What does that even mean? Like, what is your definition for a team player? Because like maybe based off your definition, sure, but somebody else might have a completely different definition. I saw Denny is 86 on 2K at the moment. That's cool. That's cool. I think he should be an 86 with the way he ended the season. Bleacher Report, you are the one who said Kling was a solid perimeter defender for his size, which is not true. He was a solid perimeter defender for his size, archetype, and the fact that he was a rookie. That is the context. Yeah, Grace says, yeah, you need someone who can create their own shot, but at the same time during the game, they're team-oriented and then when needed, get selfish. That's literally Dame. That's literally Dame. That's literally Dame. That's both Denny and Dame. Denny should be a little more selfish. Denny should be a little bit more selfish. Dame could like carry a mediocre offense to being a top 5 offense. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I just don't. I don't. Why are we even hating on Dame, man? Javon says people have literally been complaining that Dame is too unselfish. Yeah, in Milwaukee, he's been too unselfish. He's been too much of a team player. Tori, who are the untouchables on this team? I don't think any. I mean, it depends on your definition of untouchable. Because like, if Spurs want to trade Wemby, you're trading anyone for him. I think like the core that you're not looking to trade is how I'll word it is Kamara, Denny, Sharp, Scoot, Klingon, probably that 5-man core. But like, if you really wanted to make an upgrade and planned on keeping it, like, if there's a really good star center out there that you could trade like Scoot and Klingon for, I could see this organization doing it. Breaking news, we will make the playoffs next year, says Great. Guess what? You said that this year, and we didn't even make the plane. So, I mean, maybe you'll be right next year. I mean, 36-win thing is still alive, so that's progress. That's progress. Gray, they weren't good after the All-Star break. They were not good after the All-Star break. What's the Blazers' record after the All-Star break? Can somebody tell me? It was below 500, right? No, let's do this exercise. How many above 500 teams have the Blazers beaten since the All-Star break? Since they're gelling so well. How many above 500 teams have they beaten since the All-Star break? And, no. Let's do it this way. How many above 500 teams that had their best player did the Blazers beat since the All-Star break? That's the question. There you go. That's the question. Blazers are not even 22-16 since the All-Star break. They have not played. The Blazers at the All-Star break were 23-32. Now they're 35-45. How did they win 22 games? Dude, they have not won 22 games since the All-Star break. They had like 55 games played at the All-Star break. 55 plus 38 is 83. But I'm looking at the record. I'm looking at the schedule right now. We're 23-32 at the All-Star break. We're now 35-45. So we've lost one more game. We're literally below 500 since the All-Star break. This team has 2 wins against teams above 500 since the All-Star break. One was against Memphis, who was playing without their best player in Ja Morant, and one was against Denver, who was playing without their best player and MVP winner, Nikola Jokic. The Blazers don't have a single win since the All-Star break against an above 500 team that played their best player. When the Blazers had a chance to make up some serious ground to go for the play-in and played at Sacramento on March 27th against the Kings, they didn't show up. They lost 128-107. and gave up 81% from two, which is the highest mark by any team the entire season. Gray, why are you trusting what the AI on Google says when you can literally just go look at their schedule and their records, man? They're not 6-22 either. They're better than that. But yeah, that means you think they were 13-29 at the All-Star break, but they were 13-29. No, they were 13-28 on January 18th. And then they won, and then they started their 11-game stretch where they won 10 games. So since January 18th, this team is 22-17. Since January 18th, not the All-Star break. 22-17, okay? But let's just say you take out that 11-game stretch where they won 10 games. They are 12-16. Okay? You look. The last time they beat a team that's an above 500 team that had their best player. Are the Kings even above 500? No. So the last time that happened was February 4th versus Indiana. Literally over 2 months ago. The last time they did before that was January 28th against Milwaukee. The last time before that was January 4th against Milwaukee. So since the new year, the Blazers have 3 wins against above 500 teams that had their best player in the lineup. I mean, that's just not enough of a sample size to sit here and act like, yeah, this team just started gelling all of a sudden. Like, no, they had a much easier opportunity. This team still has not proven that they can beat good teams. Like, that's where it's like, okay, we should not be overreacting, and this organization should not be overreacting to a 35-win season. Yes, you took some positive steps, but I think it's a little bit overblown. I truly do. You still have one of the worst offenses in the league that Chauncey has done basically nothing to improve. The only reason it improved this year is because you have Denny Avdia. Because Cronin went out and made a good trade and brought in Denny Avdia. They're still the 23rd ranked offense. They still play at an average to below average pace, even though that was supposed to be a huge part of their identity this year. That is somewhere where Chauncey failed. And then if you want to look at assist percentage, okay, this team should be sharing the ball. We play like a team, right, Gray? We play like a team? This is just a legitimate question for you. I'm not even trying to be like argumentative here, but like, if this team plays like a team, quote unquote, why do they have the 28th ranked assist percentage? Shouldn't you want a coach that gets this team playing like more of a team offensively? Because we've seen ISO ball bull crap all season, even though we don't have an elite ISO player like a Damian Lillard. We've seen so much ISO ball this year in our half-court offense. They are the 3rd worst assist percentage team in the league. That's a indictment of Chauncey and Chauncey ball and Chauncey's offense. We don't have a ton of ISO players. Assist percentage is the percentage of made buckets that were assisted upon. Okay, so it's not dependent on makes. We basically have the third highest percentage of unassisted field goal makes. Unassisted. Why? We don't have somebody that should be getting a ton of buckets that are unassisted. We don't have anybody that should be playing in isolation a ton. We don't have anybody that should be dribbling the ball 10 times in a row. Like that is baffling to me. Last year this team had the worst assist percentage. In 2023, the Blazers had the 18th best assist percentage. You know what's funny? That was the last year they had Dame. In 2022, the Blazers had the 21st ranked assist percentage. Once again, this is not a make-dependent stat. This team literally scores more unassisted field goals without Dame than they did with Dame. At least under Chauncey. Eric, what is maddening? The Chauncey thing or the chat? We'll get Eric's thoughts later tonight on the postgame show. This way you guys gotta show up to the postgame. Like, that is my biggest indictment of Chauncey's offense is, man, why is so many of our makes unassisted? I mean, maybe you can make the excuse that, like, oh, well, we like to get downhill and get to the rim, but it's like, man, why are so many of those buckets like somebody isolating and then getting downhill to the rim or somebody dribbling the air out of the ball to try and get downhill to the rim? And why isn't there more like we're going to hit a cutter going downhill towards the rim? Or there's a backdoor screen for somebody going downhill towards the rim. Or we're going to set up a back cut going downhill towards the rim. Like, no, you can get to the rim off the ball as a team, but we don't do that. We don't do that. And it's backed up statistically. That's the thing, is everybody wants to defend Chauncey criticism. It's always a bunch of like, you expect him to win a championship with this roster? What is he supposed to do? Guys try for him. You know? Guys try really hard for him. And people like him. And just look, the young players got better. You know, surely that wouldn't have happened without Chauncey. You know, young players don't get better. And, you know, they were average defensively. So, it'd be blasphemy to criticize that. But then it's like, all right, let's talk X's and O's. This is what I think of the offense. I have a stat to back it up. But that's never the conversation for anybody that wants to defend Chauncey. They purposefully take it away from any discussion about anything he does schematically or his offense or this or that. And if they keep it somewhat on topic, it'll always be like, what, you expect him to have a better offense with this roster? It always goes back to the roster excuse. Right? And basically it's like, oh, if the team sucks, it's the roster's fault. But if the team does a little bit better, oh, well, see, Chauncey is the reason why they did it a little bit better. So it's like literally no way he can fail for some people. Which is ridiculous. But it's also like, all right, even if your roster's bad. If your roster's bad, you should probably have a higher assist percentage. More of your makes should probably be assisted upon because you should probably be playing more as a team and have more structure to your offense than just giving somebody the ball and just watching him dribble the air out of the ball and shoot shots that, if they go in, are unassisted makes. So, like, the roster excuse doesn't work for that. It doesn't. Not for that particular stat. And not for that particular critique. This team looks lost far too often in the half-court offense. It's going to continue to be that way. The only way they won't look lost is if they get another player or their young players improve so much that it's just like, oh, you can give them the ball and they can create something out of nothing all the time. But it's like, that's not Chauncey helping them. That's just your players being more talented. So, yeah. If the Chauncey extension is going to hurt, if it happens, it's going to hurt. And I'm not looking forward to it. Yes, Elizabeth is a dude on his wife's account. MVP Strauss says, look, this isn't on Chauncey at the end of the day. It's the front office. We know he isn't good, but the front office has the job at the end of the day to remove him. Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, like, it's a problem with the ownership group and the GM that just seem to fall in love with whatever the status quo is. The letter O says Chauncey was hired to coach a playoff team. Morocco and Norm had problems with Chauncey, so they were dumped for first round value. Yeah, first round value. Yeah, Keon Johnson. That would then give away for nothing. But, I mean, Chauncey, during his time here, has proven that he would struggle in a playoff series as a coach. Do you think Chauncey should get a chance in the playoffs at least? I mean, he's had a chance to... He's had a chance to improve upon the things that would cause him to struggle in a playoff series, and he has not improved enough. Last year of his deal, they're too cheap to fire him. It's not even them being cheap. Apparently, they might give him a pay raise. They literally might give him a pay raise. So, I don't know if that's better or worse. That's literally them not being cheap. Anyway, did the poll earlier. Most people want to see Chauncey let go. People don't want to give him an extension. We'll see what happens. Oh, we'll see what happens, man. This team stresses me out. Anyway, I'll answer questions, I guess, for 5 minutes, and then we'll move on. Kyle Neely asked earlier, Tori, imagine if we got flagged, what would we have to do if we got him roster movement wise? I don't think much of anything. I think you find a way to. It's the same. Like you trade Ant, you try and trade Grant. I mean, if we had flag, I hope that Grant would not play next year if he's still on the team. Unless somebody got hurt. Kyle, he was not hired to coach a tanking team, and they had a pretty good start to his second year as well. So they were literally a 6 seed with Rocco and Nurk the year before. So no, he was not hired to coach a tanking team. MVP Stroud says, yeah, feels like the ownership is just killing the assignment of this team. It's really sad. Yeah, man, I mean, literally all they have to do is hire a new coach, and then all Cronin had to do before he got his extension at the end of this offseason was trade Ant, not be too aggressive, and that's literally it. It's not a high bar. That is absolutely not a high bar. That is like such a low bar for them to clear. Maybe they still trade Ant. But I'm like bracing for a freaking Sabonis trade where we're going all in on being a 6 seed or a 7 seed long term. That's what I'm bracing for. That is what I'm bracing for. That's what I'm scared of. But anyway, got 2 games left. The Blazers play the Warriors tonight. Hopefully they can lose and protect the tank. We'll see what happens with... We'll see what happens with the Spurs and the Suns. That game matters for the Blazers in terms of their lottery odds. And you got 15 games across the NBA today. We'll be live with a post-game show tonight, and then on Sunday we'll have another episode of Blazers Uprise Live in the morning, Sunday morning, and we'll pick the day's games, and then we'll have the final post-game show of the year on Sunday, and then Monday we'll have Blazers Uprise Live at 9 p.m. Wednesday we'll have what was formerly known as Scorching Trails. I gave in. I'm switching it to what Steven wanted to do. We're going with the Blazing Trails, all right? That's my podcast with Steven Vaughn. We're going to be going live. We're just going to start doing it live. It's not going to be regular necessarily, but we'll try and share a schedule at the start of each week. And I know Hoops Crush, we're talking about hopefully doing some live things there, which would be cool. So... going to be doing more live content this offseason. That's the plan right here on the main channel. And then video content will ramp up during the offseason. Not necessarily going to be daily, but the goal will be to have something daily, whether it's a live stream or a video. Eric Brandt, I don't even know what comment he's responding to. He says, bro, there's a huge difference between going all the way and tanking. What is with some people in chat today? There's just some people, Eric, that only think in binaries. 0 or 1. All right? Either you're going all the way and winning a championship or you're tanking. Something's either the greatest or the absolute worst, right? Klingen either, he absolutely cannot defend the perimeter at all. Or he can. It's all black and white. It's all binaries, right? It is no context, no gray area, no middle ground. I highly recommend, if you think that way, to reevaluate the way you look at sports and start thinking about that middle ground, because most things are going to fall between one extreme and the other. This is another dark day in the franchise history. Listen, they haven't re-signed Chauncey yet. Maybe Chauncey will leave and do him a favor. Bouquet says, Dame was consistently the most clutch player year after year. We hired Chauncey. How many blown late game scenarios were there? I think it was legit 10 games. I mean, how many times have we seen his offense not manufacture a field goal in the final 6 or 7 minutes, even when we had Dame? That was a thing, multiple times. I would rather them literally fire him and hire a worse coach because at least they tried to hire a better coach. Like, at least they tried. Just because you fire a coach doesn't mean the next one you hire is going to be the right coach. You might also not be the right coach. Right? But, like, I'd rather see them try to upgrade the coach than to settle. New BU tweet just dropped. Nice. We got our starting lineup. Shout out to whoever we have on the Twitter account today. We got Banton, Thibault, Kamara, Murray, and Klingen. I love the tank emoji. Great choice of emoji. Buck and Odin says professional sport franchises don't just re-sign coaches after 4 straight losing seasons. It's insane. Yeah, especially crediting like the success they've had in the re-signing as a justification for the re-signing. It's insane. It's insane. But it's what you get from this ownership group. From this god-awful ownership group. Yeah, it's very unusual, but it's almost like Blazers being the only sport in town, right? It's almost like we're kind of in our own little bubble where, to a lot of people, it seems normal. But I started worrying when Chauncey started like tanking some games low-key that it was like because he had something in his back pocket where he didn't have to worry about it. And worry about his record. Because obviously his record doesn't matter. He's still getting an extension. At least according to reports. I don't know, man. I assume this report is true. I believe this report is true. That's why I'm worked up. If I question this report, I wouldn't be this worked up. I'd be saying let's wait and see. But I fully believe this report because this is exactly what the Blazers would do. It would surprise absolutely nobody. Absolutely nobody. Kyle, you are really good at ignoring context, my guy. A team can be tanking in 2 of 4 seasons, okay? Just because Chauncey is 116 and 210 doesn't mean that they were in tank mode when they hired him. They tanked at the end of the year, but they fully went into that season trying to win, and then they fully went into Chauncey's next season trying to win. I don't really know what you're trying to argue. If you're trying to argue against that, you're just wrong. They literally started 10-4 in Chauncey's second season. They were not tanking. And they did not plan to tank when they hired him. They started being a tanking team because when they tried to win under Chauncey, they were unsuccessful. That's a great way to put it, Trevin. Yeah, I don't even know what the argument is in chat, man. But listen, we're going to have a lot of time to discuss things with chat in the offseason. Medina says, why trade for Grant and sign GP2 if they're taking? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, leave a like on the stream. Helps us out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our content in the offseason. We got it live again later tonight. We'll get Eric's thoughts on the report. But yeah, man, I mean, I just feel like painfully, and this is how I feel, and if you don't feel this way, I actually envy you if you disagree with me. I just feel like right now I'm slowly watching this organization celebrate and accept mediocrity to the fullest extent. And I feel like we're in like the 3rd inning of that. But some nights when you watch, say, the Seattle Mariners through 3 innings and they have like 6 strikeouts and no hits, it's going to be one of those nights where they score 1 run and lose. That's my analogy for, like, I think we're in the 3rd inning of this organization celebrating and accepting mediocrity. But, like, you already see it coming, is how I feel. And it's disappointing. But, I mean, I heard recently somebody else say, 80% of this fan base is okay with just making the playoffs. I'm happy for those people. They're going to get what they want. This team will be a playoff team coming out of this rebuild, like a bottom-end playoff team. But weren't we just there with Dame? Weren't we supposed to do something different? It pains me, man. It legitimately pains me. So, could be worse. You could be a Kings fan. Yeah, I mean, but let's like... I don't like thinking it could be worse because it could be a lot better. Here's the thing, too. It's like if they try to contend and they fail miserably, that's better to me. Because at least you tried. At least you tried to build a team that could win it all. At least you didn't settle for mediocrity. At least you did your best to try and build a winner. The thing is under Neil Olshey, that was one of the people's biggest gripes is like, it doesn't feel like they're trying their best to build a team around Dame. It doesn't feel like they're trying their best to build a true contender under Neil Olshey. And it's like, if we go right back to that 10 years later, a decade later, yeah, no. We got to hope for Cooper Flagg, I guess. Gotta hope for Cooper Flagg. I'll do a tankathon off screen. All right. I'll do a tankathon off the screen because I don't have it set up on this streaming package. But I'll read off the results. 14 Atlanta, 13 Dallas, 12 Chicago, 11 is Miami, 10 is Portland, 9 is San Antonio, 8 Toronto, 7 New Orleans. So Houston via Phoenix has moved up, 6 Charlotte, 5 Washington, 4 is Houston via Phoenix. 3 is Utah, 2 is Brooklyn, and the first overall pick goes to Philadelphia. They capture the flag. All right, ninth moved up, and we're not even ninth anymore. Ninth has barely moved up when we've been there, but now we have tied for ninth best odds and don't move up. So I'm kind of rooting for Phoenix to win tonight because I think San Antonio would purposefully lose their last game, so I don't think we're catching them. Although their last game is against the Toronto Raptors. So hopefully Phoenix beats them tonight. I'll just take ninth best odds. Best case scenario, of course, would be Portland loses their last 2 games. Phoenix beats San Antonio tonight, and then Phoenix and San Antonio win their final game, and then Portland would be tied with only San Antonio for 8th best odds. But yeah. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out. We're out of here. Follow our social media accounts linked in the live chat. Is your sleeper trade Şengün for the Blazers? No. My sleeper trade is insane. But I'm going to use it to cope tonight on the postgame show. So if you want to know, tune in for the postgame show. Final comment I'll read off before we end the stream. Sama hopping in the chat says, the team is not built to play with a star with Chauncey. There's no hierarchy, no switching on offense, not moving the ball to get a star to a better position. So even if we draft a future superstar, Chauncey will probably ruin his career. Yeah, unless that superstar just is an isolation god, Chauncey's not going to put them in the best position to succeed. Like, he literally does not use Sharp's athleticism in the half court, like, at all. If we have an athletic team and he doesn't use it in the half court, he doesn't get guys going any way off the ball. So, yeah. Yep. Anyway, listen. They move on from Chauncey and hire somebody that might be better. We'll celebrate. But I don't know, man. It's at the point where I'm like about to. I'm this stream and this report and today was me just accepting that. Yeah, he's coming back. I accepted it today. I'm in denial. I'm in the anger stage of denial, but I'm like getting to the acceptance part. So we'll see. Or no, not the stage of grief. Denial is a stage of grief. Yes, I'm grieving. There you go. Is his contract really ending, though, or getting extended? The report today is that he is likely to get an extension. And right now it sounds like if he doesn't extend with the Blazers, it's because he gets a job somewhere else that he likes, which is just crazy to me. Anger stage of denial. Yeah. The letter O, that's what he does well. Yep. Great way to end the stream. I'm out of here. We'll catch you. We'll catch you tonight with the post game show. We'll get Eric's thoughts, and we'll recap the Blazers' inevitable loss to the Golden State Warriors. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!